Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this webinar. I am very excited about the amount of interest in today's webinar. I think we had a record number of people register to attend. So that's exciting to know that there's so many people in the organization who are interested in learning more about EDrive products to be able to really search out customers and serve our customers better. So thank you for that. And I'm excited to share really more details about the EDrive product line and some of the features that make it such a great product. A little bit about my background. I started with Joyce Staten in 2003 as an applications engineer, worked in various roles. Latest role, I was the general manager of EDrive in Connecticut from 2018 until 2025 in May, when the company relocated. But yeah, some background on EDrive, also history on EDrive. EDrive was founded in 1980 as a really kind of groundbreaking actuator company that patented a design to replace mechanical cam system driven machine tools with linear actuators. They had quite a bit of success. That machine tool replacement business, and in 2012 Joyce Staten acquired EDrive. Fast forward to the beginning of this year, the EDrive company was merged into Joyce Staten, becoming a product line, and then EDrive operations were relocated from Newington, Connecticut to Portland, Indiana in May of this year. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to discuss and introduce, especially to some people who may not be familiar with all the EDrive product lines. We're going to talk about the three product lines. First being the UA Universal Actuator. That's our newest product line introduced in 2021. The Tax series and the Eliminator series. All EDrive products have the same features. They're all ball screw driven. They're all utilize an internal anti-rotation feature. They are field regreasable. Limit switches are available on all the different product lines. And you have the option between parallel offset, belt driven, or an inline coupling connected drive. Starting off, a look in a deeper dive into the product lines. First off is the UA2 Universal Actuator. This is an aluminum construction, main cylinder being extruded aluminum with forces up to 500 pounds, velocities up to 50 inches per second. This was a custom extrusion made for us for this product line. So we incorporated the industry standard 80-20 T slots, which allow us to mount external limit switches into those T slots. And that custom extrusion also integrated the anti-rotation, which is a nice feature to have on such a small actuator. That industry standard T-slot also allows for mounting of accessories, wire ties, trunnion brackets, really any other industry standard T-slot type accessory or bracket. Could also be incorporated right into an existing 80-20 style framework for a specific application. The UA is stocked. Parts are fully stocked for our standard strokes in Portland, Indiana. We're able to provide a 10-day lead time, which we feel is the quickest lead time for a configurable actuator in the actuator automation marketplace. Like I said, standard strokes 6, 12, 18, and 24 inches. And for next year, we're looking to offer a standard servo cable and drive option. So you'll be able to come to us for a complete actuator package, including the servo motor. So that's something we're developing for next year. Moving on to the Tax series. The Tax series is an all aluminum body with steel mounting features. So the front cap and the rear cap are steel, motor plate is steel. They utilize an internal tie rod system for anti-rotation that is part of the ball nut adapter that connects the ball nut to the piston through that adapter. You can see that highlighted there, internal anti-rotation. Also field regreasable, also accepts external limit switches, and available in parallel offset or inline coupled options. I'm gonna go back to that real quick. Just piston, steel piston, hard chrome plated, half a thou to a thousandths, and chrome thickness, zircon double lip wiper seal. Inside that front cap is oil light bronze bushing. The Tax series utilizes a rolled ball screw, and the motor plate can be really machined to any of your specifications depending on what motor you're selected to use. Moving forward and looking a little deeper into the Tax series, we have our most popular Tax series actuator, the VT. These are rated up to 2,000 pounds, 40 inches per second, standard stroke lengths up to 24 inches, field regreasable, rebuildable, just like all EDrive actuators. Applications for the VT: damper control valve, simulators, motion simulators, part holding, fixturing, grippers for robot end effectors, conveyor diverters, tire mountings. These are just some of the applications that our customers use this product for. The VT was also developed into a product called the VS, which was then upgraded to the current product line, which is the VP, which is IP69K rated. All the same features as the VT, except in stainless steel. The piston for the VP is a nickel chrome plated steel piston. Some of the smaller, I think the VP2 and 3 use a stainless steel base material that is chrome plated, but above that size, it's a steel piston, nickel plated, then chromed over the nickel. Applications: food and beverage, quality control, ingredient regulation, volumetric filling, suitable for outdoor applications, suitable for a stainless steel motor or a stainless steel cover for over the motor. So a stainless steel can to protect your motor. So moving on through the Tax series, we have the long stroke series. This is the LS actuator, also rated thrust from 400 to 2,000 pounds, max speed 40 inches per second, stroke lengths up to 60 inches. Some applications for the LS: mining for taking core samples, prefab truss construction assembly, moving the fixturing and blocking as construction prefab nails up their trusses, and various test equipment. A lot of destructive testing where a sample has to be put into some sort of exposure, and then the actuator needs to be able to retract quite a distance out. So those are some applications for the LS. Moving on from the TAC series, we have the Eliminator series. The Eliminator series was designed in the late 1990s as an actuator to eliminate hydraulics. That's where the term eliminator comes from. We feel this is really the most rugged actuator available in the industry. Solid steel construction, the thick wall tubing used for the cylinder, which houses the internal dual key anti-rotation system, very robust anti-rotation, available with integrated load cells, which I'll get to later. Field regreasable limit switches, same features as the other actuators we've discussed. In the Eliminator series, we have the HD, which is our most popular, highest selling actuator for EDrive, rated from 1,000 pounds to 40,000 pounds. It's the HD 201 to the HD 740. Max speeds up to 23 inches per second, standard stroke lengths up to 48 inches, some applications, pressing, punching, valve operations, various assembly operations, metal forming, and like I said, hydraulic system replacement. Really, it comes down to whatever the designer can come up with for an application. If they need a robust, long-lasting actuator, the HD will certainly help them meet their design requirements. Here's a inside look at the HD series. Very similar to the VT, except the steel construction. In this view, you also get to see the nylon bushings at the end of the screw. This helps to prevent the screw from whipping at higher speeds. You can get a look at the internal anti-rotation. The HT series utilizes a world ball screw, and the limit switch, our tracks are optional. These are covers that go over the guide slots, and those covers can be made available with the dovetails for the limit switch or without. Angular contact bearings, all necessary motor mounting provisions really to mount any motor. So along the same lines as the VT and the VP, we also have the SP for the Eliminator series, which is IP69K rated, and all the features of the HD and the stainless version. Again, nickel chrome plated steel piston.
Yeah, hey Eric, it was back on the VP slide.
Yeah,
You mentioned that you could provide like a can for over a standard servo on that. Uh,
correct.
is that something that we can provide
The
or
the
some
servo motor?
not the servo, but the can over the servo, the stainless steel cover. That's something that we would offer.
Yeah, that's yeah. This
Oh,
EDrive offers as an option.
good to know. All right, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the question. Okay, yeah, and same with the SP, available with a cover, stainless steel can cover option, or stainless steel motor, really depending on what your customer is looking for. Applications: food and beverage, food processing, cheese cubing, volumetric filling, of various food mediums, margarine, cream cheese, yogurt, pharmaceutical industry packaging, really any applications with a washdown requirement, and IP69K being the top of that requirement. We get another question.
P69K. Hi,
Mm-hmm.
Eric.
Hi,
Is
Chuck.
that rated to be submersible?
No, IP68 is submersible. IP69 is high pressure, high temp, and I believe some caustic, and with that K. Um, but I could be wrong with that, but I don't think that the IP ratings increase always as they increase in number. I believe 68 IP68 is submersible. Um, IP69 was not tested to submersible. It's high pressure.
Okay, thank you.
Also in the Eliminator series is our super speed actuator called the SS454, rated up to 2,000 pounds, max speed 65 inches per second, up to 48-inch stroke, standard strokes up to 48 inches, a lot of timber processing applications, specifically flying saw, where the saw is moved along with what's being cut instead of the material through the saw. Post-process rapid jog applications. So if an application requires moving something into position, then rapidly getting the actuator or whatever the fixturing is out of the way after the process. This super speed actuator is well suited for that type. And diverter gates for packaging or quality control, where product needs to be, diverted down different gates depending on requirements. And then the final one is the Super Duty in the Eliminator series, rated from 30,000 pounds. That's the SD 930 to 100,000 pounds, SD 999. Max speeds up to 12 inches per second. Standard stroke lengths up to 48 inches. We have done some roller screws. Option is available in the SD9 and something we've done quite a few times. And back up. Applications: automotive, assembly lines, heavy lifting, pressing, heat staking, demanding dynamic capacity and life requirements. So the Eliminator series is available with a load cell option. Measures both in compression and tension load directions, which for a long time has been an EDrive advantage, and we believe it still is. We don't think any of our competitors offer force sensing in both directions. Some applications: press to force, process completion, quality control purposes, prototype design for initial data collection, overload prevention, obviously for machine personnel safety, battery assembly. One of the large EV companies out there uses a load cell on their, I believe, HD6 actuators to press the lithium ion button cells into the ballistic case of the batteries, and they use the force feedback to confirm the tolerances on the cavities that the batteries are going in, but also to not, overload the pressing process and damage any of the lithium ion cells. Customizations: just ask. We're able to customize and meet most customizing requests from customers, like mounting options and hole patterns, various stroke lengths, intermediate stroke lengths between standards, extremely long stroke lengths, screw types. We can do roller screws. We have a large blanket order that's using Acme screws. We can do various belt ratios, up to 3-to-1. We could also go backwards and do, 1-to-3, which we have a couple customers who do that. Exterior finishes and coatings, especially now that we're manufacturing in Portland, where there's a large, relatively advanced paint room with the capability to do pretty much any spray on paint requirement. We can explore different paint and colors and finishes and coatings, and we do oil lubrication instead of grease. We can do boots and bellows. Scraper seal is just really, the sky's the limit. Don't be afraid to ask if you're working with an application engineer or an account manager, or ask your RSM. We won't know unless you ask about it. So some of the industries, obviously industrial manufacturing, food and beverage, packaging, automotive, timber, forest, processing, agricultural applications, entertainment, from simulators to moving displays on, while people are standing in line for roller coasters. Really, it's infinite, the number of different ways people come up to use screw jacks and linear actuators. So never cease to be amazed at what engineers come up with for how to accomplish the job they're working on. So opportunities. Keep an eye out for replacement opportunities for air cylinders and hydraulic cylinders. If you have a customer coming to you for a motor, inquire, what they're hooking the motor to. They might be attaching it to a screw jack or an electric actuator. That may be an opportunity for us to also get in the door and supply an actuator. So our competitors, EDrive electric actuators are used to replace XLR, Parker, Toll-O-Matic, and Thompson. I'm sure everyone on this call is familiar with these. And we can customize to fit. We just, need the information, part numbers, and what that's being used for, to make sure that what we are specifying and recommending is a good fit for the customer's application. Points to consider with EDrive electric actuators: there's no built-in over travel. The actuators are not intended to be run into the internal stop limits. It's a good idea from a cost perspective to order standard stroke lengths when possible. Like I said in the customization slide, custom stroke lengths are available, but the cost is going to be higher than the next standard stroke length. So where possible, try to select or work with the customer on how they can select a standard length stroke. Non-standard also have a longer lead time. Most of the stroke dependent components are in stock, but having to go to a custom stroke means modifying the cylinder length, the piston length, the tie rod length, the screw length. So that's a lot of modifications. So it definitely increases the lead time. We want to avoid side load on pistons. Will definitely decrease the actuator life. So avoid non-axial forces. It's probably one of the bigger issues that customers come when they have a premature failure is do we have the actuator properly aligned? And it's not always the easiest thing to get an engineer to admit that something's not aligned properly. Okay, let's see where we points to consider. Back driving, all ball screw actuators back drive. So there needs to be either dynamic braking with the servo motor or an additional brake. It's spring set brake or whatever included on the motor. Some resources. Joyce Dayton website, you can get to the EDrive CAD models, drawings, wiring diagrams, catalogs, this application worksheet. We used to have tablets of these. I'm not sure if we still have those that can be sent out to the reps for making customer calls, but we could certainly get a PDF version or something that's printable. Joyce Dayton application engineers are definitely interested in seeing these worksheets completed for new applications, really to expedite the selection process. The more information we could provide them up front, the quicker they're going to be able to come up with a solution and get a quote to the customer. Contact information: sales, customer service, technical inquiries, sales@joycedayton.com. That's the phone number to the front desk reception at the Dayton office. And here's my cell number. Feel free to reach out to me for whatever reason. I would love to talk to you guys about actuators and actuator even issues with customers. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I certainly like when we can satisfy a customer's needs and either get them a product that they need or get them back up and running. So feel free to reach out to me as well. Social media. We got the 4 horsemen of social media covered: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter. I know Katie does a great job with the social media posts weekly. I'm familiar with the LinkedIn posts that come out weekly. This is our most recent one, I think. No, that was 3 weeks, 2 weeks. This one was last week. So if you're not already following us on LinkedIn, definitely connect on LinkedIn with us. See some new applications and solutions just about weekly that might help spark something for a customer to go visit or an application that you've been wondering about. So that's what I had for today's webinar. Do we have any more questions or clarifications or anything from the group?
Quick question: any other feature that we are not seeing that EDrive may provide, like is explosion proof or subsea applications like high pressure? I think that you mentioned something, but I got a little bit confused.
Explosion proof typically, and correct me if I'm wrong, has to do with the electronics in the explosion proof motor. So if we were going down that path of selecting the motor to provide with the actuator, I think that's something we would have to address at that time. And typically we don't supply the motors. So unless there is some other material on material requirement for explosion proof certification, I think it just comes down to the motor. And then subsea, that's also something we'd have to look at the application side. I'm not familiar with any applications where we've done that. I know we can get various greases. I know we've put jacks, subsea before. But really, it comes down to the specifications.
So it would be best if with the application form, right? Try to send it to the.
Yeah, send it to the sales and let's get the application engineers looking at it. Because they're a creative bunch and can come up with some creative solutions for
that's what I thought.
Problems. Yeah.
I said a question as far as the IP69K going to that 68 in a dynamic environment it's more like a water park OEM. So they want to be using these eDrives submersed. and 69's probably not going to get us there unless it's in a static mode.
Mm-hmm.
What say you? Is there any avenue that we can take to
Yeah,
achieve?
do they know which series? Are we talking VT, VP?
Yeah, we're on the early stages of this, so it's definitely a conversation that we could have with them as far as which ones to use. Currently, they don't really use these electric actuators, but they were intrigued by the thought of it for
Mm-hmm.
that the obvious reasons. But just more speaking of that, as we got down kind of the rabbit hole with it, it was well in dynamic, it's a little bit harder to achieve that, you know, right
Right.
to keep it safe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on a dynamic test right now for IP69K, where it'll be exposed to water while it's operating. That's a little different than fully submerged.
Yeah.
Um,
These are like wave pools and things of that nature. So it's when the baffles fill and they start actuating, it's fully submerged, So
right.
and you're also coming into contact with some chemicals, with the chlorine and all that. So
Sure, sure.
okay. Yeah,
Um,
I think what I'll do is I'll get you and Tom Erudito involved and we're looking to get kind of in front of their engineers over there to give these as an option. It's just a matter of, kind of overcoming some of these obstacles where we can help them. So
sure. Yeah. And my other maybe slight concern would be, travel speed, and are we going to get outgassing problem, or where the actuator tries to suck the water back in when it's retracting, how are we going to vent it? Maybe there's a solution out there for that, but that would
oh,
be my other
okay.
concern.
Yeah, makes sense. Awesome. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all right. If there's nobody else, really, again, appreciate everyone's interest. Thank you for getting on the call. Reach out with any questions that come up afterwards or any clarification, and have a great day.